Hi, this is Dominika from SimplePlan.cz, and I'm here with Chuck from SimplePlan again. Welcome back to Prague.
Thank you.
It's so nice to have you here.
My pleasure.
I believe it's the 8th time in Prague.
Oh, really?
I tried to count. I think, well, not Prague.
Well, you would know.
I'm horrible with numbers, but like around the 8th time in the Czech Republic, if we count,
okay,
because you guys went to the festival as well. Yeah.
But how many times in Prague, do you know?
In Prague, that would be -1 because you just went to Rock for People. So 7 in Prague, I would say.
Okay,
that's pretty good. And this is actually my 10th interview.
Oh, wow.
And you've been to 9 of them, so you might remember 9 of them.
Yeah, I remember them.
You weren't at my first interview.
I wasn't?
Mm-hmm. My first interview was we were in the other venue that's behind this one. In the ice hockey one. Yeah.
Well, this is also the ice
This
hockey.
is also, but that one is smaller.
Team.
This one is bigger. And I got the option of either having an interview with you and Sebastian or Jeff, David, and Pierre, but be in a van and go on a trip somewhere. So I was like, 3 is more than 2, and a trip is better than no trip. So I picked that.
Great choice.
So that's the only reason why you weren't at the first one. But anyway, you're here.
Here we are. My 8th one then.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a tradition.
That's pretty... Well, ninth one.
I had to get prepared. Like I had to all day get myself ready.
Like what you're going to answer.
I looked at my nose.
Oh, yeah. So that you know what to say.
I'm preparing. It's kind of like when you do a debate, you know, like a...
Oh, like a political...
Yeah, like a team. So we had somebody playing you.
Okay. Who was it?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm excited.
And let me know, how are you doing right now?
Great, yeah.
Yeah?
It's awesome. The store is great.
Yeah.
It's been a big year. We haven't really stopped, so it's been really busy. It feels like every year is getting busier, but it's good.
I know.
There's a lot of stuff happening with the band, so
exactly.
Lots to talk about.
You guys released a wonderful documentary this year, so let's talk about that.
Sure.
So I have a bunch of questions about the documentary because I was watching it and I was obviously like writing down little notes that I wanted to ask. And so I'd like to start with like the beginning when you guys were just starting out and you guys got to do the song with Mark Hoppus, who was your absolute like idol and everything. And obviously I knew about that, but what kind of surprised me were the shots of you guys, you and Pierre, I believe, in the studio with him. Yeah. And you guys were actually directing him like how to sing the song and how to maybe not sing or like... Yeah. How was it? Because wasn't it intimidating to like tell your idol, oh, like you're doing it wrong?
Right. I wasn't necessarily doing it wrong, but it was really interesting. That was one of the whole project, like going back and looking at the all the tapes and the footage. There's stuff that you've done, but the details or the actual environment or whatever, like seeing it again was kind of really interesting and eye-opening and sometimes a bit shocking. And that was one of them that I had pinpointed. We actually cut some of it because there was more of that. Aww. And we didn't want it to make it like, it was kind of like, wow, I can't believe that we had the like balls or like the audacity to be like that. But I think the one thing that it reveals is just the confidence that Pierre had as a producer already, as a singer, as a songwriter in the band and everything, to kind of like make sure that we can capture something as good as possible. And I think that's normal when you come in and you've heard the song only on demos and it's not your song. Obviously, it's it can help to have somebody who's in the band to kind of give you some little direction and all that. I think that's normal. I think anybody that does a project is going to come in and have this vision of how they see it. We've been living and breathing this thing for months and months at the time. So, but it really struck me as like, wow, this band that has sold like a total of 0 albums is kind of directing this guy that was on top of the world, had sold like millions and millions of albums. And it was one of those things where I looked at it, I was like, wow, I didn't remember that exactly like that. And it almost made me feel a bit uncomfortable watching it, but at the same time, I thought it was super cool.
Were you proud of yourself?
Well, that's what I mean. Like it showed the confidence, it showed the determination of getting it right, and I think also it showed how Pierre was always very like confident and advanced and very sure of himself in his role as the lead singer and as the kind of like the studio producer and all that. So I thought that was really cool to watch after all these years, you know.
It was incredibly interesting. And you just mentioned like the determination of you guys and of the band. And that leads me to my other question, which is there was that point before that when you guys were getting all of the rejection letters from all the different sorts of labels. And you mentioned that you were getting them for over a year. That's quite a long time. So like, how did you manage to push through it and like not give up for over a year if you just keep getting rejection and rejection? Because I think that would be an interesting point to hear in any sort of like point in life when people want to give up. But
well, I mean, you have to understand, like we would be sending stuff, we would send them by burst, like we would figure out, like we would get a bunch of addresses and send a bunch of CDs and all that. So, but it's not necessarily the priority of every label to respond immediately. So sometimes it would take like weeks, and sometimes it would take months. So they were kind of like all the letters would be received like over a pretty long period of time, depending on how long they took to get to it. You know, the one thing that we did that was smart is like to get it more notice and for them to pay more attention was to send it by FedEx. So that made it more like, ooh, because at the time it was kind of like
fancy.
You know, 25 years ago, there was nobody did that, you know, and it was like it wasn't normal to get packages at your house or at your office. It was kind of like only people with real, you know, offices and real like positions would do that. So I think that sped up some of the answers, but some of them took forever. So how did we do it? I don't know. It's interesting. I think we just didn't want to take no for an answer. I think that, you know, our passion and our drive was so profound. It was so deep. It was so important to us that just like, it was like almost like it was putting fuel on the fire in a way when we would get, you know what, like, fuck this guy. He has no idea what he's talking about. We're going to show them, you know, that they're wrong, you know? So I think there was a little bit of that, which has been sort of I would say maybe the story of our whole career in lots of ways. It's kind of like, you know, it was never really easy. We never really had like the red carpet rolled out for anything in our career. We always had to really get it like with grit and get it like inch by inch, you know, and kind of like, and when one country would start doing well, like later on, the other one, like you would play a big show and then the next day you were back to like a country where nobody got it and it was like super small. So it was always being yanked from, you know, great news to bad news to great news. And even still today, sometimes it still happens. And I think all that, instead of being discouraged by it, we took it as motivation. We took it as like that fuel that makes you want to try harder, that makes you want to keep going. So maybe it's just part of the personalities that we have or the way that we looked at it. I think it's a choice too, right? You can choose to be discouraged or you can choose to roll up your sleeves. And for us, most of the guys in the band had that personality where it was like, oh, let's just keep going, you know?
Brilliant. And I'm very happy that you did.
And I think that was the whole idea of making the movie. Like it is a movie about the band and Simple Plan is the sort of primary subjects, but the goal was trying to create something that would be bigger than that. It would be like, even if you don't care so much about the songs or the band, you can still find something inspiring or interesting in the human story of like, hey, you have this dream, you don't want to give up, you want to keep going, you want to, the value of just chipping away and like, you know, work ethic and just keep going. Sorry, mate. We're doing an interview. Wrong room, I think. Thank you. See?
That's okay.
Oh, good. It's part of the
CZ
vibes.
It's absolutely okay.
It's real. It's raw.
This sort of leads me to the other question. It was your birthday recently, by the way. Happy birthday!
Thank you.
It was in September, and
it's not really my birthday anymore. But thank you.
But I haven't seen you since then, so like, makes sense. But for your birthday, Jeff wrote a very beautiful post on Instagram. and I read it, and he shared a very interesting story that I've never heard before. And that was about a label suggesting back in the day that the band should get rid of the bald guy, but you decided to just not go with it and just walk away from that label when they said that. And I was just wondering, like, do you think that the industry has changed since then, and that, or do you think that there's still like this pressure to like fit a concrete look within like a band or a musical artist or something?
I mean, I think that how the perception of the band, the branding, the image, I think is still as important as it was. I think that standards and everything have evolved, in the sense that like society is different than it was 25 years ago. So there's different maybe body types that are a bit more accepted than they were maybe back then for like a female artist or even a male artist, you know. But I think that overall, there still an artist has to have a sense of identity, who they are, what they are. So that's still, I think, a part of it. Having said that, you know, for our band, you know, we grew up together. We went to the same school. We were friends before we formed the band. And I think that, I don't know, I just think that we didn't really subscribe to that. I think it was important. Like we understood that, you know, we had to have a certain, you know, like, it's not even that, because it's not like we had to have, we were like that. Mm-hmm. That's how we were as people. Right? So we didn't like go out and like, oh, we need to wear this because it's cool or whatever. Like, we were obviously influenced by a lot of bands that we grew up loving, but we'd been wearing the same stuff since like we were 13, 14 years old, since we discovered like NoFX, Pennywise, all the, you know, Green Day, Barrelage, and all that, all the bands that we loved.
Because your heroes were wearing the same
right.
thing.
And I think that punk rock bands and pop punk bands at the time, what was really interesting and what I liked and what I still like today is like, I got up today and I put on this t-shirt. That's what I'm going to wear for the show. I don't have like a stage costume. Mm-hmm. And we never had, and punk rock was always like, you look like you were the kids in the crowd, without referencing the title, but it looked like somebody in the crowd could have been the guy on the stage. There was never this kind of mystique or this big mysterious like look that you have to have, or like an emphasis on clothing, or you know, I think it was just a different thing. So that's how we were brought up musically. So for us, it was like, yeah, it's like, we got this. We don't need to look a certain way. Or
you are who you were.
We were who we were, and we felt it was enough, and we felt like it was cool, you know. And maybe it wasn't as cool as some other styles of music, but for our world, for our scene, we felt like, you know, 5 of us was going to be great, you know. Well, at the time it was probably the 4 of us, you know, before David joined the band. Yeah. But and obviously, you know, Jeff at the time was kind of, you know, he had to sort of find his way and all that, and he was a little bit, I think, maybe self-conscious about certain things that he had going on. But we were like, man, you're part of us. You're like our brother. Like, you're coming along with us. Are you crazy? Like,
and he's a fantastic musician,
well, that's
right?
What I mean. That's what matters. And you suggested to start the band. You're our buddy. We're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna be part of it, you know. And nobody's gonna come in from the outside and tell us how to do that. So it was interesting when you said that. I had forgotten completely about that. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting that he brought that up, and it was a very, very kind and heartfelt and very emotional note, and it was really cool of him to share that.
Yes, it was very beautiful. So when you made that documentary, revisiting all those memories must have been very, very hard, I believe, and you can see that in all of your eyes, in all of your speeches that there are. Was it difficult for you personally, and in what way? Like, was it that you thought of things that you didn't think of before because you, like, maybe the videos brought it back up, or?
Yeah, I think it was fascinating experience to do all that. There was some, you know, overall, I didn't think, for me personally, that it was painful or really difficult. I think maybe the 2 parts that were more challenging were kind of, having to talk about the breakup of our first band, Reset, and the kind of how my friendship with Pierre was, not really existent at that point, where we became kind of enemies or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was difficult because it's not something that we really talked about a lot, and so that was a painful part. And also kind of, we've always made sure that the band is portrayed in a very positive way. So to sort of kind of reveal or lift the curtain a little bit on some of the stuff that maybe is not as perfect was difficult, something we've never really done before. So I think that was the two things that I kind of struggled with the process. It was kind of like, should we do this? Like, is this good ultimately for the band? Is this something that we should be sharing or not? So that was complicated. That was tough. But overall, I thought it was a fascinating experience to go back and look at this. There's some things that you see and you're like, completely forgot that we did this. Just seeing the footage, you're like, where was that? What year? And it's really interesting and special to see some of the footage from your younger selves. Like when we were like, for me, like my family didn't have a camera. We didn't really film ourselves. So it's to see, we found some tapes at the very end, like the last box that they didn't even want to transfer. Like, we have too much, don't transfer it. We sent it in, and it was like literally like Pierre and I at his parents' house, like practicing, but just goofing around, not being in the band, just being friends. Mm-hmm. And seeing that at 13, like hearing your voice, hearing our voices, and how we felt so young, and seeing yourself on tape, I'd never seen myself at 12 or 13, like except photos maybe. Mm-hmm. But seeing it, like, it's kind of like, wow, it really drew me for it was really, really weird, but really fascinating and cool. So I don't know, I think the thing that stuck with me the most was that how much effort and how much things we did, like I feel like, it's 25 years or 30 years with the band before, with Reset, but it feels like we've lived like 50 or 60 in those years, you know what I mean? Because we went so hard, we went everywhere, we didn't stop. It was so full on, so I think it was really interesting to kind of revisit all that.
Mm-hmm. And you've grown up a lot in those years in so many different kind of ways. And I've noticed, especially like in the past couple of years, that it isn't just you who's grown up, but your fandom has grown up quite a lot. And I can see that as like a fan site owner, and like I get to interact with fans a lot. And I just feel like the way that the fandom used to be in the more beginnings, I feel like everybody was a little bit more, let's say, crazy. And yes, they still have the same passion, these people, but you can see that they are calmer, maybe more respectful. And I'm always so proud when I see like shots from, I don't know, some country somewhere, and the people are like incredibly nice and respectful, especially towards you or at the shows. And I was wondering if you've noticed that too, that maybe it's calmed down a little bit. And
well, I think it's kind of, it's normal a little bit, you know, with people just, following us for all these years. For us, like, it's not the first time we're coming to Prague or Czech Republic. It's not the first time we go to South America or whatever, like Australia. They know that they probably met us before, or if not, it's not like the only time we'll ever come out. I feel like there's a little bit of like, okay, all right, like this guy's has been doing this for 25 years. Yeah. Like it's probably not the last time they're coming, and it's probably not my only chance to meet them. And also, as you get older, you can still love something, but you can be, like you said, a bit more, I don't know what the word is, if it's calm or just kind of, just more chill. And I think, the fans that have been there since day one, they're, what's amazing is that a lot of them have stuck with us and they're still there. And we're so grateful for that. It's quite remarkable when you see people like, hey, I've seen you for the first time on the Sugar Ray tour. It's like, wow, like that's so old school. Like I can't believe nobody knew us back then. But some people discovered us, and literally they're still here. They're still coming out to the last US tour that we did. Like they were telling us those stories. It's quite amazing. And then what's really special is while all that's going on, and yes, the fans are getting a bit older, at the same time, there's a whole bunch of new people that are discovering the band. that are way younger, that were not even born
Yeah.
when the first record came, that maybe are, what's made even more amazing is the fans that are becoming parents and they have kids, and now the kids are coming and they fall in love with the music. So as a band, it's really exciting. It's kind of like, it's a way to kind of like rejuvenate your audience, but also like get you excited, because 25 years in, you're still making new fans, you're still playing, you're still making a first impression on a bunch of people. Not only like the younger people that were not born when you started touring, but even people that have been fans for 20 years, but they never were able to come to a show before. And now all of a sudden, like, we're coming back. Maybe they catch us on social media, like, oh my God, these guys are still around. You still love them. I'm going to go give it a shot. And they come out, and it's like, we get on stage and we realize that not only are we playing for our hardcore fans who've seen us many times, but we're playing for this whole bunch of people that have never seen us. And it's like a chance to make that first impression. So I think it makes you want to play a great show. It makes you want to step up and, like, you know, make sure that they've been waiting 15 years or 20 years and it's worth it. Mm-hmm. And they go like, man, I should have went way before, you know?
That's true.
And definitely come back next time, you know?
Yeah. Brilliant. So speaking of changes in general, there's a lot of talk about AI changing the music industry. And I would like to know, like if you guys see it having an impact on the way you do music, or the way the industry works. Like, has it had any effect on you personally, or maybe on the next album? Like, do you have the AI in your life?
Personally, I don't really use it that
Not
much.
at all?
Not really.
You really?
Yeah, no. I feel like the one thing that I'm noticing that's really interesting is that the backlash to it from fans. When you see some bands that post some stuff on social media and you can kind of tell that it's an AI thing generated, people are like, yeah, we don't want that. Like, that's so fucking lame. And instead they're like, you should support real artists. Like, when we make our merchandise, like, it would be so much easier to be like, oh, let's just put it in 5 seconds, it spits something out. But I think people don't want that. I think people are kind of, I mean, maybe it's because it's a new technology and there's a big aversion to it in the beginning. Maybe it will normalize down the road. But I feel like people, especially with music, they want that human connection. They want that real emotion. They want something that feels genuine, that feels like from the heart. And we've messed around with these like app, and you can say like, hey, like, do a song like that, and in lots of ways, like, you could say it's similar to a human, right? You listen to a bunch of things, you get inspired, and then you kind of like try.
I agree. I think that's what it could help with.
So there's something with that, and so of course there's probably a temptation of like, hey, imagine we can, because it's very hard to make records. It takes us like months and months, and as you get older, to devote that kind of bandwidth and that kind of energy and effort and time, especially time, is difficult. You know, you have other priorities, and that's probably why every band, like, in their trajectory, at some point, like, the music is not as good. It's just because maybe they don't have it in them to devote as much time, right, as much energy, because they got kids, they got other things, they got other hobbies, you know, and it's just hard. It's a young man's game or a young woman's game, you know. But I think it would feel like cheating. I think people would definitely pick up on it. And I think that the differentiation is small, but it's between AI and between real human music. It's small, but there is something intangible that is kind of detectable, that you can feel. I feel like that's where it should come from, you know. It should come from the heart, and people should get something that's really from us, you know. That's my, I don't know if everybody agrees with me, but that's I
actually agree, because I love music often because of the artist, or I like the artist because of the music, and to me that's somehow connected. Well,
the thing about AI is that it can't understand whatever life situation you're in, you know. Like, it can't really guess like what state of mind you've been over the last months, or what thoughts you have in your mind. It can use like things that have already been generated and existed and reshuffle it, but you can't really truly offer like I don't know. For me, it's really weird. Like when I read these stories about people like falling in love with bots and whatever, like it just feels like you have to understand it's not real, right? Like
Yeah.
It's like, but I don't know.
Well, we'll see
how
where
it goes.
Where it takes
Maybe,
us.
but I feel like we're going to keep it old school.
Yeah,
for now.
I'm very happy to hear that. Anyway, Jeff has recently mentioned in an interview that you guys have until March to make a new record. And I would like to know what exactly that means. Like, do you guys have some sort of time frame within where you have to make a record? What about the new record? Where's the new record?
It was news to me.
Oh, was it?
When I saw the interview. Well, I mean, I think what Jeff meant was that we have some time off next year. You know, we've been pretty much nonstop. It's very hard for us to write on tour, on the road, for a bunch of reasons. So usually when we come up with new music is when we have time at home. And we were able to, you know, come out with 2 new songs this year, which was difficult because we had barely any time off. Like literally, I think that the song for the documentary, like Nothing Changes, we came back from a show and from the whole, like we were finishing the movie, we literally had 2 or 3 days booked to write it, record it, and finish it, you know. So got really lucky that it turned out so great because that was such a small window. Next year, we're gonna have some time off at the beginning of the year. So ideally, in a perfect world, if we could use AI and if we were robots, we would have a whole record written and recorded, and boom, we can get back on the road and we have exciting new music and content for our fans. I don't know how realistic it is that we're gonna have a full record done. We're gonna certainly try to make new music. I don't know at what what quantity we'll be able to generate, you know, in that time. We'll see, you know. It's like we definitely want to, you know, release more music. We've said that our whole career more often. The way that we've approached it recently was kind of like to have a, you know, not an album but a song here and there, which I think is not exactly what necessarily the hardcore fans want, but at least it's something, you know. It's new music, it's exciting, it keeps you engaged with the band, and it keeps us creative and everything. So we'll see, but that's sort of the window, you know, that January, February, March, April. But we've never made a record like that before where we're like, this is the only window we have and it has to be done. We have always let the music rule the schedule or the timeline, you know. It's like the songs dictate if the album is ready or not. So we'll see.
Okay, then I'm absolutely excited about anything that you guys are coming up with. And I also wanted to finish this interview with a final question, and that is, are you guys coming back for a headlining tour anytime, maybe next year? Or
yeah, I think we're working on that now. Yeah.
Yeah? Headlining this time?
Yeah, I think
because it's been a while since like a proper headlining
yeah,
tour.
You're right, 2024 was the
yes.
last one, which is less than a year or a year and a half. Yeah, we did the whole headline tour. So in Europe, we did, I'm trying to think, since the pandemic, we came back with Sum 41.
I'm not complaining about you not coming. You were, I literally saw you every year. I'm
so
not complaining.
Then we came back and we did probably festival, and we came back and did the headline tour, which is great. It was one of the best tours we've ever done. Like the package was so great. Like, you know, having state champs, having made a parade.
That was brilliant.
It was an amazing tour, and it was some of the biggest shows we've ever played as a headliner in Europe. So it was really, really cool. The idea with this tour was to, again, sort of build up, you know, play in front of more people, get more people to, you know, discover the band, and then come back and, you know, headline next year. So that's the plan. It's probably going to be in the fall. You know, it's not official yet, but that's kind of what we're looking at.
Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
My pleasure.
It's always so great to talk to you. I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.